5 consecutive years of failed spawning events in the Chesapeake Bay due to low water flows and warm winters has left the stock on the brink of collapse. Striped bass, just like my businesses, require some stability to survive.
So as an angler, conservation is almost synonymous with angling itself, especially in 2025. We've got more species at risk. Overfishing runs rampant. We've got big hurdles to keep protecting these wild places, these wild spaces, wild fish. So speaking up, using your on-the-water observations to translate to change in policy is incredibly powerful. I was just having a conversation about anecdote versus science. And our firsthand anecdotes are truly incredibly important. And they support change at the policy level. And we need science, we need to understand what's happening, but never for once undervalue your own personal observations. They're incredibly vital to what you bring to this voice for conservation in our oceans and our rivers and our mountains, everywhere. So never devalue that. What you're seeing out there is a small piece of what's happening. And of course, we've got our own personalities and our own perceptions that are tied up in that. Over time, you're gonna see trends, you're gonna see things change. And if you don't like what you're seeing, there's ways you can get involved in these processes. American Saltwater Guides Association. I've been on the board since we started the organization, been working as a consultant the past 2 years, and been really dedicated to marine fisheries conservation over the last decade, educating myself, talking to people, seeing changes, speaking up at public comment. It's just incredibly vital. Conservation work can be extractive on us, especially when we're not winning the fights that we want to win. So, keeping that curious perspective, staying positive through that, and just staying engaged because you're surrounded by this community of people that want to see this planet thrive. We want to see our sport continue on is really the reason that ASGA exists. And ASGA unites recreational anglers as much as it's united guides. So even though it is called a guides association, this is for every recreational angler that just wants to see our oceans have some level of abundance, whether it's the prey species, the mackerel, the herring, the menhaden that our fish are eating, protecting them, making sure there's abundance there. But we want to move up the trophic levels and protect all these different species, whether it's false albacore and Atlantic bonito around Cape Cod and south of there, or us who really striped bass are our main target up here in Maine. That population is majorly slipping, and ASGA was really born out of a void to address what's happening in the striped bass population. So we've been working very hard the last 6 years. We've definitely affected some change, but we have a lot of work to do. We've been up against some environmental conditions that have laid a groundwork where we haven't had a successful spawn in about 6 years. We're very top heavy in our striped bass population right now. We've got some big fish out there in localized abundances. They might be near shore, they might not be on the mud flats. They're probably not going to be on the mud flats. They might be offshore by 5 or 6 miles. These are big, mature fish that have survived through all of this pressure that we put on the fishery. But we'll go out there today and it's going to be a lot harder to find smaller fish because they just don't exist. They have been caught and harvested. A lot of people are puzzled by what they see, but we all need to realize the biggest thing that we have an impact on is overfishing. We are not currently overfishing the striped bass population, which is the rate in which we catch fish, and we're not overfishing them because those fish are not there anymore. We don't have the ability to overfish it. But the stock is considered what is called overfished. So it's depleted, it's below a threshold where we say that is a healthy stock of fish. So we are below that, and without any young fish coming up into the system with successful spawning over the past 6 years, we're looking at more fish being harvested and they are not being replaced. Some of the fights, that ASGA is working on there is strengthening our economic data. How important are these fish to a catch and release angler, to an angler that wants to just keep one fish throughout the season? We definitely are not picking winners and losers in this. We want everybody to enjoy this fishery and do so in a sustainable way. ASGA absolutely wants these fisheries to be accessible by a very diverse population. For somebody in Boston that can go just stand on a rock wall and catch a fish out of the mouth of the Charles River just as much as the fishing guide that's pursuing these fish 100 days a year in Maine. We really want there to be abundance. In abundance, this isn't an overabundance where nobody's taking any fish. This is a healthy, stable population where we have a diverse size class of fish. And when they go to spawn, they have a much higher propensity for success in a spawn, which will drive the replenishment of the stock. So this is absolutely not, no fish is ever kept, no fish is ever killed. This is, let's restore a healthy, diverse population of striped bass that have an incredible resiliency, especially as water is changing, habitat's changing. We need abundance drives resilience. And with abundance, there still is room for all of these different sectors, catch and release, catch and keep, to still enjoy the fishery and all work together harmoniously. So we're at a period here, we're almost at a tipping point where the work, the advocacy, the education, the data, the economic data, the science, it's all building a groundswell of support to make some major changes in what we're seeing. And I think that is what gives me a lot of hope for the future.